So hello friends, today we will be discussing about the change happens with HRM with the change in the environment. So these are the changes which are happening to the existing system of human resource management due to the emergence of various changes in the society at large. So let's discuss one by one. So these are the determinants of the changes in the existing human resource policies in the for the change in the society. The first one are the external forces. I will be discussing one by one. The first external force is workforce diversity. Earlier, due to one kind of people, it was very easy to manage all those peoples. But now the workforce diversity is such that people from different caste, different creed, different nationalities, as well as from different area of origin are working for the same organization. So everybody has their own set of values, their own set of beliefs. So managing people becomes difficult. So because of that, even the HRM is changing day by day. The same is technological trends. Earlier, due to less technical interventions, things were more labor centric. But these days, technology has come to a height where things are being controlled by technology more or less rather than all these people. So in that case, the people who have the technical abilities or those who know the technical know-hows are very difficult to manage because they have a certain skill which others don't have. So with the emergence of technology, even managing the people becomes pretty difficult. Now for an example, I would say earlier for doing a bank fraud you need to practically go and loot a person, but now things have completely changed. Even at your home sitting on your PC you can still do a cyber fraud. So in that case the government or the authority has to be more vigilant, like how to curb such problems. So because of that, even managing people becomes very difficult. So technology plays a very important role in this. Next is globalization. As I've already told, due to the emergence of globalization, now the economies have already opened, and people from different localities, different backgrounds, different nationalities are working for the same organization. So in that case, different people having different belief and the set of belief system are uniting themselves and work together. So in that case we have to mutually respect their culture, and they have to also mutually respect to our cultures and so on. So because of that, globalization poses a challenge. It's not a bad thing at all, but it's a challenge for the human resource management to manage all these people. Next is changes in the nature of job and work. The work profiles have emerged a great way, and the works and the culture has changed a lot. Earlier things were more simple, but these days things were very complex, and your work culture demands that particular attributes to learn. So in this case, managing people at work becomes difficult. Now say for an example, due to coronavirus, now a lot of people are working from their home, and you seriously can't even map whether a person has worked to what extent. Now say for an example, if somebody is doing a creative job, you cannot really map to what extent he has done a job, because for creative work measurement would be difficult. The same way, in that case, if you want to manage those kind of people, it gets very difficult for an HR manager. Talking about the internal forces, now we have the biggest forces, which is called as labor unions. Now managing labor unions have become more and more difficult these days, because unions are very strong, and with the advent of Trade Unions Act and other acts, things have become more ugly as well. So in this case they are more powerful, and they also have their own rights, and technically and legally also you cannot deny the fact. So because of that, managing the trade union and keeping a liaison, a good relationship with all these trade union, and again by keeping relationship also you have to get the work done. So because of that, it gets more difficult and challenging for HR managers. Next is organizational culture and conflict. Different organization also have different type of cultures, and inside an organization when two or more people work together, sometimes there arise conflict. So because of that, you have to be very careful. And in different organizations, the culture might vary. Now, say for an example, if somebody who is working in a very formal organization, and the juniors usually call them sir, and he gets transferred to some other organization where it is a very informal kind of environment, and people call them by their name. So the moment somebody call him by his name, he might react to it because he is used to of listening sir. So in that case, it is not the question of somebody behaving bad, but it is the question is about the culture of the organization. So he should learn that the culture of the organization is such that people usually call them by their first name. So this is how the culture varies, and if the organization culture is not learned over a period of time, it might create a lot of confusions for the employees. Now, same is the case with professional bodies. Now, there are certain professional bodies which can internally change, and they have their own set of rules and some do's and don'ts. Now those professional bodies can decide how to behave in an organization and how to work in an organization, and basically they set some standards. So in this case, it poses also a separate challenge for the HR manager, because different professional bodies have different sets of working. Now, say for an example, if you are running an educational institute, and you are running MBA as well as some undergraduate courses. Undergraduate courses are basically falling under some affiliating universities. So the affiliating university norms and their ordinance will come into picture. Now MBA is usually carried by the university, as well as there are AICT norm. So because of that, you have to follow both the norms, and then you have to report both the bodies. So in this case, that particular aspect creates another trouble, or you can say that another challenge to the HR manager, and they have to adhere to all those professional bodies and their norms in order to manage their people at work as well. Apart from all these factors, there are other factors as well which determine the challenges of human resource managers, like knowing the environment. If you know the environment in a better way, then you can manage. If the environment is very complex and you don't have an idea about it, then in that case it poses a greater challenge. Same is the case with enacted environment. So you need to have a very clear look at what are the legislations which have got enacted, and whether you're falling into that particular legislations or not, and having an idea would actually save you. Otherwise, if there are existing legislations and you don't have an idea about it, then in that case you might face some legal challenges as well. Domain and domain consensus as well. If you are a person who has knowledge about your own domain, and you are very consensus about that particular domain area, in that case you have a greater control as compared to those who don't have the knowledge about it. Task environment as well. If you're a person who keep a track on what is the task supposed to be done and how is to be achieved and all, then you have a firm control over your people as compared to the one who doesn't have the track. And of course, with environment scanning, which is very important, because if you want to be successful, then you have to have a very good understanding about your environment, and you have to scan your environment accordingly. You have to understand your strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats as well. Strengths and weaknesses is something which you have, and you can internally control it. You know what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. On contrary, opportunities and threats are something which the external environment will throw at you. There would be some time where you would get a favorable environment to do the business, whereas there are certain opportunities, there are certain cases also where government might increase the taxes, or maybe some sort of a threat for your business, maybe competitors protection, or maybe protecting all these MSME sectors and all. So it depends on the external environment, and accordingly you have to take a call on this. Thank you very much for watching all these videos. Thank you.